Hey guys, this is Sergeant Phoenix back on the action, and today we are doing another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, this time on Subterrors. And a few people don't know about Subterrors, which was quite surprising, so I decided to do a deck profile on them since I have them. Subterrors are quite a good majority of cards. The high power ones are mostly flips. And this is how and as usual we start with monsters, spells, and then traps, and then we work on the extra deck. So first, let's start with our monsters. First we have 3 copies of Subterror Fiendus. And this monster's effect, during either player's turn, when an opponent activates a card or effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target one Subterror monster you control, negate the activation, then change the targeted monster to face down defense position. You can target one face up monster you control, damage it, change it to defense position, and if you do, special summon one Subterror monster from your hand or graveyard in face up or face down defense position. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. As I said though, Subterrors are quite an alright deck if you want to use flips. And I'll show you why. Next we have Subterror Guru. And this is a flip. Flip, you can add one Subterror card from your deck to your hand, except this one. You can target one other face-up monster on the field, change that monster, also this card, to face down defense position. This is a quick effect. If you control another Subterror card, you can only use the effect of Subterror Guru once per turn. And as you see, flips. Next we have Subterror Nemesis Warrior. This one isn't a flip. During either player's turn, you can send one Subterror monster from your deck to the graveyard, tribute this card, and at least one other monster, so the total original levels tributed equal or exceed the level of the Subterror monster in the graveyard. And if you do, special summon that monster. So let's say I want to summon a level 8 Subterror. I can get rid of this and another level 4, let's say Guru. That equals level 8. I can special summon it. If you special summon it, but it goes in face down defense position. If a Subterror Behemoth monster is flip face up while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card and you can only activate this. And Subterror Behemoths are the high leveled ones, so you can think of them as the top practical and make the deck unique. Next we have Subterror Nemesis Defender. And I have them as Silver Shiner. During either player's turn, when an opponent activates a card or effect that targets exactly one set monster you control and no other cards, or when a set monster you control is targeted for an attack by an opponent's monster, you can send this card from your hand off face up on the field to the graveyard, then target another monster you control that would be an appropriate target. That card effect can attack now targets the new target. While you control a set monster, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So this is an alright one. So that's why it has a good defending system. So it has a decent defense system. Next we have Revival Golem. I added this card in because it's quite good to use for Subterrors, I think. The reason being, the effect of Revival Golem can only be activated once per turn. When this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard, activate one of these effects. Special summon this card from the graveyard. Add this card from your graveyard to your hand. And the reason I add it's 2100, and you could use it for the other Subterror effects that need to get rid of other monsters. Now we're up to Subterror Behemoths. First we have, this is the first one, Subterror Behemoth, Steiger Kraken. And it's a flip. And its effect is, flipping, you can target You can target set cards in the field equal to the number of Subterror Behemoth monsters you control, destroy them. You can only use the effect of Subterror Behemoth Kraken once per turn. When a face-up monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face-up monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position. It's good to have two. Next we have Subterror Behemoth Phosphesroglossia. I can't pronounce the names. This is the flipped as well. All the high powers are flips. And this card's effect being flipped, you can send one card from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn. When a face-up monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face-up monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position. So most of them really focus on going back to defense and practically keeping a powerful flip system. Next, this one. I like how they're all like different varieties though. That's what makes this deck quite unique. You know, there's no like one type, they're like all types of them. Next we have Subterror Behemoth Dragosauri, and its flip effect. You can activate the effect of this Subterror card you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn. When a face-up monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face-up monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Once per turn, you can change this card face up. They can change this card to face down defense position. Next we have Subterror Behemoth Spellologist, and this card's effect, you can target one monster on the field, change it to attack position, face up attack position. If this card is in defense position, you can also change its attack to 0. You can only use the effect of Subterror Behemoth, this one, once per turn. When a face up spell monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face up monsters, special summon this card from your hand in defense position, and once per turn change it to face down. Next we have Subterror Behemoth Volteloric, and its flip. You can target one set monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase, until your next end phase. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. When a face-up monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face-up monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. And once per turn, you can change the face down. Next, we have Subterror Behemoth Staligmar, if it's pronounced. And this card's flip effect, you can discard one Subterror monster, and if you do, draw 2 cards. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. And its other effect, when a face-up monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face-up monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position, and once per turn, change it to face down. Next, we have Subterror Behemoth Amatsure, and this I do actually like the designs of the Subterrors. They remind me of Titans. They remind me like what a Titan or like a legendary monster would look like in a video game. And this card's effect, you can target one monster your opponent controls, banish it. You can only use the effect of Subterror Behemoth Umatsurix once per turn. When a face-up monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face-up monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position once per turn. If this card, you can change this card to face down defense position. We're nearly done. Next, we're on to Subterror Behemoth Ultramathus, I'm going to say. And this card's effect, which is flipped, you can change all other face-up monsters on the field to face-down defense position. You can only use the effect of Subterror Behemoth, this one, once per turn. When a face-up monster you control is flipped face-down, if you control no face-up monster, you can play summon this card from your hand in defense position. You can end once per turn, change it to face-down. Next we have our last monster, Subterror Nemesis Archer. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's face-down defense position monster, and if you control another Subterror monster, you can shuffle that monster into the deck. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Subterror monster from your deck in face-up or face-down defense position, and you can only use the effect of this card once per turn. So if you like getting the gist of what this deck's most on, it is based on the high levels, and you could build like a powerful loop if you can. You just have to make sure you summon. You just have to make sure that you keep them face up and face down. So practically, if you do it right, you could have like 5 Subterrors on the field. Now we have spell cards. First 2, Subterror Cave Clash. And this card's effect, all Subterror monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense for each set monster on the field. Once per turn, when a Subterror monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target one Subterror card in your graveyard, except Subterror Cave Clash, add it to your hand. Next we have Yugioh. Target 2 face-up monsters on the field, have half the attack of one monster, and if you do, add the lost attack to the other monster. These effects last until the end phase. So I can give one of my Subterrors, like say my opponent has Blue Eyes and I have one of the Subterror Behemoths. That thing loses 1500, my Subterror will gain 1500 since it was half. Next we have Downbeat. Tribute 1 face-up monster, special summon from your other deck, 1 monster with the same original type and attribute that the tribute monster had on the field, but 1 level lower. You can only use the effect of all once per turn. Next, our field spell, Catapult Zone. And this can work for Subterrors. Once per turn, if a monster you control would be destroyed by battle, you can send a rock-type monster from your deck to the graveyard instead, since the deck's mostly derived of dark monsters. Dark Hole, it just destroys all monsters on the field. A classic, what I see in many duelists use, Scapegoat. Another classic. Special summon 4 sheep tokens, and being level 1's beast type, so earth attribute with no attack or defense in defense position. These tokens cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. You cannot summon other monsters the turn you activate this card, but you can normal set. So there's a downside, but just make sure if you're playing that, your opponent doesn't use Chaos H-Engage Giant. Otherwise, there is a total of 18,000 attack points going right to your life points. Next we have Book of Moon. I've mentioned what this one does before, but in my other videos, but I always say what they are. Target 1 face-up monster in the field, change it to face down defense position. This can work, so Subterrors, that can help. Next we have Subterror Final Battle. And this card's effect... let me just get some lighting on it. Activate one of these effects. Also, after that, set this card face down instead of sending it to the graveyard. So it has a little Scrap Iron Scarecrow or Scrap Iron Statue effect for you. Change 1 Subterror monster you control to face up attack or defense position. Change 1 face-up Subterror monster on the field to face down defense position. Attack and defense of 1 Subterror monster in the field becomes equal to the to its combined original attack and defense until the end of this turn. And its third effect, this turn activated effects of Subterror cards cannot be negated. So it's good. It is a good card to use. Next we have Subterror Behemoth Burrowing. And that is 3 copies of it. You can send 1 Subterror monster from your graveyard for the rest of the turn. Face down monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle effect. Cannot be destroyed by card effects, sorry. And your opponent cannot target them with card effects. If this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, you can add 1 Subterror monster from your deck to your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Subterror monster you control, change it to face down defense position. And that's it. Almost. The last 2 traps in the deck, Subterror Succession. And this card's effect, activate one of these following effects, then set this card face down instead of sending it to the graveyard. The first effect, send 1 monster from your hand or face up field to the graveyard. And if you do, add 1 flip monster from your deck to your hand with the same attribute but a different name as the monster before it was sent to the graveyard. The second effect, send 1 face up monster from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard, and if you do, add 1 monster from your deck to your hand with the same attribute but a lower original level. It as that monster before it was sent to the graveyard, and you can only activate the effect of this card once per turn. So that's the deck for you. Now we're on the extra deck, which are only 2, and I added number 50 for 55, Goliath. And this card's effect, all monsters you control gain 800 defense. You can detach 1 exceeds material from this card, target 1 level 4 Earth Rock type monster in your graveyard. Add that target to your hand, or you can only use the effect of this once per turn. Next we have Gorgon Anti-Minus Knight, whatever it is. This needs 2 level 4s, just as the Goliath needs. During either player's turn, when another card or effect is activated that targets exactly 1 card on the field and no other cards, you can attach 1 exceeds material from this card, then target another card on the field that would be an appropriate target for that card or effect. That card effect now targets the new card. And that is it. That is Subterror Sphere. A decent Subterror deck, I would say. And Subterrors are actually a quite good deck to use. The reason is, if you're going to practice, if you want to learn like flipping, this would be a good deck. You have like a pretty good G list. And the reason is, the Subterror Behemoths are the source of this deck's abilities. Sorry, dry throat again. But honestly, the reason Subterrors are quite powerful is because of those Behemoths. You could have, like I said, you could have 5. I could have 1 Behemoth, set it face down due to its effect, and as long as I keep the other ones in if I have another one in my hand, I can special summon it. And if I want, I could have that face down as well. So I could have 5. I could have 5 Behemoths, flip them, use their effects if I want it, which one's effects I wanted, then play them face down. So it would be so it's quite a decent combo. If you use the right Subterrors, you could give your opponent quite a bit of trouble. But there is and I've added other cards in for defense though, like the Go monster and other ones. But the main problem this deck has is it's mostly defense, and it's alright having a decent defense. You just have to make sure you have a good art. But it also got built with an efficient offense as well, which makes the Subterror deck quite formidable against certain opponents. So practically, if your opponent knows they can't destroy these Subterrors, if you have a way of stopping them, they can't do anything. There's practically no way out. You know, if your opponent can't figure out a way to beat them. You know, they can be easily taken care of though. You know, the Dark Hole can work on them, Mirror Force could work on them, but you have to make sure you play it correctly. Or you could just play the ones you want face up, then play them face down if you wanted. That's pretty much what you can do. But that's just a deck. But that's a deck profile for you. I build a deck, I show it, I profile it for you, and I think of a review for my own deck. And I would say Subterrors are quite good though, in my opinion. Comment down below what you think. Like and subscribe for more videos, more deck suggestions. And until then, this is Sergeant Phoenix, over and out.